So if y'all want to ask questions, ask away. We'll see where the direction goes.
Well, if doing only your passport, would that correct your status, or do you still need to do everything else as well? Or will it just decrease the number of stars that come back with the passport if you didn't do your status correct or name change before seeking a passport?
Well, and this is kind of why I was saying to Christopher a second ago that most everything out there that's being taught is bogus information. What do you believe that your status actually is?
Well, I think we're all solvent to whatever state we was born into, and it's for us to understand that. And then we are forcefully to believe that we're underneath another status of, I guess, the Constitution of that 14th Amendment
Well,
or something. I don't
well,
know.
see, most of what the people out there teach, I used to believe. Okay? Used to. Until I kind of had the veils taken off my eyes. You've heard the maxim in law that he who makes the claim has the burden of proof, right? A lot of the people in the movement, they talk about how the courts operate on presumption, but then we turn around and operate on presumptions also. See, when you talk about operating under the 14th Amendment, one, where is your evidence that it actually applies to you?
I don't know. You're saying, ask me, what do I think? So I'm
I
just
know,
going by stuff I
I
hear.
know.
So, yeah. So
Yes,
I'm questionable just like you. That's why I asked that
yes.
question.
Well, yes, and don't take what I say the wrong way, okay? Um, when I asked you to tell me what you think, is I wanted to see where you're at, okay? And a lot of the teachings out there, like you've heard people talk about, well, you are operating as a U.S. citizen, and because of the social security number, blah, 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 blah. No, you're not. I used to believe that stuff until about 8 months ago. I started asking the government questions and I started getting certain answers. Yeah, I mean, the Bible says you have not because you ask not. We're not asking the right questions. If we ask the right questions, they will give us all the evidence we need to show we are not U.S. citizens. They'll also give you everything you need in relation to the name, that the name on the social isn't you. It's a trust. I mean, Rainbow, if I create a trust and I name it Rainbow, is it you?
No, it's an entity.
That's right. But in our thinking, we keep thinking from the perspective of it's me. And that is the problem with our thinking.
Because
I mean,
we are a agent of or a account representative of an entity, which everybody else claims they have the same interests in. And I believe it goes by who can state the claim the best or hold the evidence more so of that claim.
no, no. The government created a trust. It looks like it has your name on it. The problem, let's go back to the whole thing of your name. We know you were born, okay, because you're here. But do you have firsthand knowledge to what your name is.
But everything is hearsay because as a baby, you don't know anything. You just grow into this position of hearsay and everything that we know of to today.
Correct. So guess what? The Fifth Amendment says you cannot be forced to self-incriminate, right? It's not the exact wordage, but you're familiar enough with the Fifth Amendment to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But what do? That we have no firsthand knowledge of. If we go into court, they call the name State versus Doe or John Doe. And what do? We already are saying we're that entity when we have no firsthand knowledge to what our name is. So it's like some of the movement out there talks about how you must expatriate from the United States and patriate back into the state. When I started asking the question, wait a minute, how can you expatriate from something you never patriated into? Where's the evidence that you patriated into something? There isn't any. And what we're doing is we're listening to a lot of people that make a lot of claims with no evidence. See, I can actually prove to you I'm not a U.S. citizen. I did a FOIA request with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Office. They come back and said, there's no records. So right now, the evidence I've got is I'm not a U.S. citizen. So what am I? See, I have the right to declare who I am, just like you do. And it's the hardest thing someone can answer if they sit down on a piece of paper and they ask the question, who am I? Because once you discover who you are, the government can't define who you are. Only you can. And yes, they do control the name. Read the back of the Social Security card. It says they own the card. That means they own everything on it, including the name. You are operating as the registered agent for that entity and not handling your office correctly. Hey, Vivian.
Hey, good evening. Well, close.
Yes. Close
Close.
enough.
Close enough. So my question is this, is because I've been studying with a group of people who are way smarter than I am. And so they are doing, let me grab the paperwork. They're having, like, if your parent, your mother, whoever signed signed for the registration of your birth certificate and,
Hmm.
your name, have them do a power of attorney, or, uh, let me find the paperwork so I'm not a dumbass here. Um, I got to get into the group, but they're granting that back to the person, and they have documents, um, stating, let me get to the right group here, um, that they can take control of it, even if the parent, the mother, or the father, whoever registered, because I know there were some that voiced that, their, um,
I know what you're talking about, and it goes
mother.
somewhat towards the Minnesota Rule 220, that one of the three people, the mother, the father, or the child, have to take ownership or to make the claim because they was the only three party of that birthing. So I know what you're referencing to. I heard that one, what you're talking about. And the parent, the mother or the father, have to give the child the authority to claim the that name entity of who they are in order for them to, I guess, seek their freedom. To sum it up, what you're trying to say.
Close, yeah. No, I'm
Well,
trying to find it in the
well,
group.
while you're finding that, one thing, the problem with us, the people out there pushing Minnesota Rule 220, if you're not in Minnesota, does it apply?
Well, it don't, but they have you do it for your own state because each state has their own law, statutes, and code. So you do
Yeah.
it according to the state that you was born in. So it's just the
Mhm.
same wording, but you make it to your state. So
Well, you have to, if there is a respective court rule, you have to find the court rule because they don't word it the same in every state.
and that's where most people are lazy at. They expect to copy stuff and they don't realize they have to take the time and go into their own state records or county and Google and search out more and make something their own because everybody just looks for a template and try to run with something. And so when they do make recordings of things, it's not recorded correctly or right, or they don't get the right response since all they did was become a copycat instead of seeking personally what needs to be adjusted for their situation.
Now, sorry, I got interrupted. Let's see.
Okay, so
Well,
what they go ahead, Pastor. I'm sorry.
I am, Daniel, what are you doing? On a leading a group discussion. He called me 3 times on Telegram. I sent him the link and he didn't even see it. And then he called me on my phone. Um, see, I spent a long time studying the secured party creditor process. I know y'all have all pretty much heard of that. And one of the things it talks about is establishing your trust. But you know what? We ignore the biggest trust of all, Social Security trust. It is a trust. We're trying to figure out every possible way to take control of it, right? Where did everybody go?
We're still here. Well, I'm still here.
Yeah, Vivian fell off. The problem is we're going about things the wrong way. All these people out there are teaching all these methods. Ask a single one of them. Have you completed your processes? Have you got control of the account?
What account are you referring to? Because there's many accounts when you say that word, if you don't mind me to be more
It's
specific.
one account. You got the account number on your Social Security card. And 99.999% of them will tell you, no, we don't. Does that mean they don't have success in certain areas? Yes, they do. I'm not saying they don't win court cases when they come. They might. But the problem is they're going about things the wrong way. I mean, yeah, you can gain a lot of knowledge even though it's the wrong way. I mean, I've got 4 court cases that I've been part of that I've won. First court case was 7 years long. On paper, was it a win? No. On paper, it was a loss. But when I did the GSA bonds, they freaking went away. I helped a truck driver on his case in another state. They wouldn't even let me in the courtroom. And then the last 2 traffic violations I got, I beat those cases. The last one was sealed and dismissed. Yeah, have a lot of knowledge. You can win if you learn how the system works. But the question is what are you trying to achieve? You have to know who you are as a player in the game. How does this apply to you? How does this, what is your relationship to it? And that's the problem, that 90% of the teachers out there are not teaching correctly. Hey, Dawn.
What's up? What you guys talking about?
Well, I jumped on here because Adam keeps
Andy?
asking for, well, Andy keeps asking for proof. I said, I'll give you proof if you want to have a discussion. But he
She's
hadn't
like,
showed
text
up.
me. I think it's a girl, Andy. Because I think
Okay.
the picture showed a girl.
All I see is a, well, okay, now there's a picture. It wasn't a minute ago.
Oh.
And I would say it's probably spam by the look of the picture and the profile message. Let's see. No, Andy is not the same person. The one that commented to Andy is the girl. That's a second.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a, let's see. That's Kate Bella. I mean, I would probably, by the look of the picture and in her bio, it says, I buy all type of Bitcoin and gift card at good rate. Probably a spam account.
What the hell? Wait, where is that?
The most recent one where it says text me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably remove that one.
Oh, okay.
I had to go look when you said that it said text me. Kate
Oh,
Bella is
yep,
who it
yep.
is.
Kate Bella. Sorry. Yep, saw it. So I am up to chapter 4. My goal is 2 chapters a night at least.
Of
With
what?
the trust book. Um,
Oh, Passing Bucks.
yeah, passing the buck.
Hmm.
The art of passing the buck. So
Yes.
it's definitely very helpful with um, learning about the players and who has the ability to do what in the trust and the different types of trust. And so I'm just thinking, so I know we've both done FOIAs to Social Security, and they're most likely not going to respond back to us. But
Now
is
that I'm
it,
actually better from my cold and everything, I still got a
yeah,
little bit of congestion. My right ear is stopped up, so I can't half hear on my right side. Um, Sean, Smoking Baby, actually told me 2 forms I've got on my phone. Uh, the first one is a form to request an administrative hearing with the SSA.
oh,
So
sweet.
I'm debating on whether or not to do that because me and KW has been talking,
Hmm.
and I've seen
You're thinking about
things
going
that
another way?
no, I've seen things that he's done that's surprised me.
Oh, okay.
That
Still
really
relating to the
surprised me.
trust,
In other
though?
words, yeah, he's got access to his account.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'm still on still going the probate way until you get more information about whatever you're doing
Well,
or something better comes along.
that's the one thing in his video. If you remember his videos I shared, he said if he had it to do over
Do all
again, he
over
would
again.
do things different, but he never said what those were. What would he do different? Well, I asked him. He said he wouldn't have went to probate court. Now, does that mean he didn't go to court? No, that he wouldn't go to court? No, he just wouldn't go to probate court. He actually sent me the office of the clerk for the Supreme Court of the United States and gave me the address. And it's not an address you're going to find online.
Sorry, I have to be quiet for a little bit because I just, my dog just ran into a friend's house, so I'm trying to get her out.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Did somebody have something to say? Rainbow, are you there?
I'm just listening, taking notes.
I understand. Hey, feel free to ask questions. Any of you, feel free. Um,
But was you going to share the address with us since you brought up Supreme Court address? I'm just
I don't.
making jokes and notes. I'm just, since you brought it up, it's fair game.
I don't have the address in front of me right now, and I'm actually at work. I'm a truck driver.
So
So
did you put a FOIA request on the Supreme Court, or did you ask them to assist you on your request or knowledge or something, put in a questionnaire to do them some type of way? Is that what I should think? I'm not going to use the word assume.
now the FOIA request, if you're talking about sending a FOIA request to the court, is that what I understood you to say?
I don't know. I was trying to get at what was your guy sending to the Supreme Court to that secretive address that's not on files. I'm just going to ask the questions for us that's sitting in South. So I'm just
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm asking the question. What is it that you're seeking to know from this undisclosed address? So I'm giving some insinuations out there of scenarios while I'm assuming something. Because if you
No,
don't know,
this
you
is.
ask a question.
Remember what
So
I said a minute ago about you have the right to declare who you are?
now everybody's doing inside these courtrooms, trying to declare themselves from the strand for all cap games.
Yeah, but they're not doing it.
Important the proper
They're not.
way.
Yeah, they're not doing it right, and they're going to the wrong court. See, the one thing that most everybody out there teaching this stuff has not done, they haven't studied the Constitution. They haven't. Ask any of them, have you read the Constitution and studied it? They'll almost all of them will tell you, well, no.
And also, do you also study the canon law since that's what they go by? Because I know that they have a section in there about how they say that you need to record your birth certificate a certain way through the canon law type of way when you're trying to do identification. So I don't know
Um,
if there's any relevance.
yes and no, but there was a trust created because why? You were abandoned. See, when you're what Vivian was saying earlier about, and I wish she hadn't dropped off, because I wanted to see what she was saying.
She's
Okay, Vivian's back because what she was getting to when it talks about the mother, um, the problem is you got to which hat was the mother wearing when she filled out the paperwork? You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of the birth certificates used to all say she was the informant. Now, why was she the informant? She was the informant because she was reporting a crime, an abandoned infant. See, it was a crime to abandon a child. Okay? So, those people teaching that you should do blah, 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 because the only people that have firsthand knowledge is the mother and father. Well, yes, that's true. But which hat was the mother wearing at the time? When I showed my birth record on the presentation I did about a month and a half ago, might be 2 months now. Some of the people that's in here have seen it, some have not. I showed the birth record that I went to the hospital and got it. And speaking of which, Dawn is finally getting somewhere on getting hers. These states don't always make it easy. But that being said, on one of the papers, it said the projected date of confinement was 9/24/73. Now, why is that important? Because an inmate gets confined. When you look up the word inmate, it is someone who is either in a prison or a hospital, but it has to do with a crime. Now, why was What was the projected date of confinement for? Because the infant was abandoned. She was the informant. And then the fourth sentence on that same page says, he was found with a weight of, and it gave my birth weight. See, all of us were abandoned. Our estates, the infant estate was abandoned at the hospital for most of the population. And until the mother and father claim it properly, it remains in probate. Now, once you've reached of age, now it's a different scenario, because now that you have to do certain things to notify the government you've reached age of majority. And that's the one thing none of these teachers out there are teaching. They're telling you to do this and do that and do the other, but none of it is actually the proper way of letting the government know that you've reached age of majority. You're
Well,
still
they have
acting
it
as an infant.
online as a CFR, but they don't abide by what they put in there, what you setting up and delinking your account with the with the Treasury Direct or the Phaser Buren system and all that stuff. So it doesn't matter because they're not
No,
obeying by what they have written out
yes,
there in
yes,
black
they
and white.
do. Yes, they do obey what they have written up. You have not proven that you have reached age of majority. You're still an infant. And this is because it's not that you think you're an infant. It's not that I think you're an infant. It's the government still sees you that way because you've not done the prerequisite steps to prove you are no longer an infant and you are now of sound mind and reached age of majority and able to handle your own affairs. I mean, Anderson's Law Dictionary of 1889 gives one of the clues. And one of the clues is, give me 1 second. I had to shut off my alarm. One of the clues is this. It says under the definition of infancy, it says, there's a section that says, under the common law, a male under the age of 14 and a female under the age of 12 cannot write a will. Now, why is that? Because an infant cannot contract. They have to have representation. So the first step, you got to write your will. And there's a 3-prong approach to proving that you have reached age of majority. And that's just step 1.
Okay, wait a second. What's that about a will? Who can't
I
write
was,
wills? The infant?
remember in the video when I did the presentation, Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
The under the definition of infancy, what did it say? A male under the age of 14 and a
Right.
female under the age of 12 cannot ride a wheel. So the riding of a wheel is step one, letting the government know that you have at least reached the age of 14 or the age of 12.
Oh, okay. So that's just more proof that you're going to bring to
It's
the
it's
table.
one it's one of the parts of
Hmm.
proving to the government that you've reached age of majority.
Right, right, right. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, the whole thing with the trust and everything else, you can't take control of the Social Security trust account by doing a secured party process. You can't do the Anna process. You can't do the David Straight process. You can't do any of these processes and take control of the trust because you were not the grantor of it. You were not the creator of it. And the beneficiary has no power over it. The only way you can do anything, you've got to go through the right processes to be able to prove that you can handle your own affairs. And everybody out there is pretty much teaching the wrong things.
Okay, so then the government would be the grantor, the
Yeah, because
trustees,
why?
well,
Now,
because,
why is the government the grantor of the trust?
Because they created the trust EIN number and your social security number. They can control.
No, that was the result of the why. The why is because the infant was abandoned. That means it's a ward of the state.
state, all right,
Now, as a ward, the baby has no firsthand knowledge to any of it. The baby and the infant technically are not even the same thing.
right,
But since the state is the one that has to provide everything for the ward or the infant, that's why it created the trust. So the
yep,
state the state's the grantor, and my opinion is the state is also the beneficiary because who receives the federal funds on behalf of the name?
state,
The state. And we already know who the
and all,
trustees are. They're listed on the Social Security Administration
right,
website. So
right.
that means you're not receiving any benefits. You're not receiving anything from it. So the only office you can be holding is the registered agent.
And then, so who would be considered like the companies accessing your social security number, thus your trust?
Hold on. Repeat that?
Okay, so companies that access our social security number and then pull money out from our trust, what
They're
would
not
they
pulling
be?
money out of the trust.
Well, the
Where are they pulling
credits.
money from? The credit. Oh, okay.
No, they're not even pulling the credits out of it. No, they're not.
Then
Well,
what are
they
they doing?
report in usage of something that I guess we as the, I guess, registered agent requires in order to live every day because they're helping with everybody with us seeking these services until we claim ourselves the right way. Because I was told that if you put yourself inside the right position, then we don't even get the bill sent out to us once you correct yourself the proper way.
Well, I can tell you now, I'm in contact with someone. He deposits every coupon.
Well, I was told that if you put the necessary paperwork in and put about 5 or 6 of them to the bank where you're banking at and to identify who you really are the correct way, then you can deposit your statements of those are statements of coupons that comes into you at your house every time. And you're supposed to be able to take it to the bank to redeem them in as that, or you're supposed to be able to take contracts like life insurance policy or whatever, and you're supposed to be able to turn those in to have them redeemed for the cash value lawful money through your banks. And I was told that the banks cannot shut down your bank accounts like they do with credit cards and stuff once you establish those right documents in writing in private, to the CEO and the CFO of the bank that you're dealing with, because we just haven't asked, or and they have these forms on the internet for each bank, certain forms, and with the FDIC. So once we fill those out properly, then that's when one seeks remedy. Like you said, if you understand who you are.
We also need to be paying attention to Redress Right or Eon on YouTube.
Or some of
Redress Right,
the redress
he's
rights
actually
documents are taken away. The good ones that
no,
he put up, it's
no.
not there for the
His
file.
old channel, Redress Right, that got took over by someone else. He started a new channel recently. Me and Eon talk, and Redress. He just started up a new Redress Right channel, and this is all he's been talking about for 2 months. All his videos is about 1933, why you are a bank.
The unincorporated one at that, while you're talking about being a private banker.
Yeah. Now, see, once you can prove that you have reached age of majority and you have done what you need to do and you get everything set up right, the windows of heaven open up.
When does the what open up?
The windows of heaven.
When
Don't
you
they
die?
don't they call it the
Did you
rapture?
understand it that way? No, not the rapture. No. What do you call it in the Bible when God pours out blessings on you?
We were going to Google the windows of heaven since she said that. So that's why she's being specific with you.
It all goes back to the Bible. The principles are all laid out. Hamilton Bay. Oh,
And he pours his blessings out on his children, right?
that's right. But he also pours blessings out on people that are not his children. That's laid out in the Bible. What's up, Hamilton Bay? But I will tell you this, I can't share the information that I've got because it has his personal information on it. But he told me it'll take me about 6 months to complete everything. And the guy that I'm talking to, I'm going to tell you now, he's definitely done some absolute amazing things.
So it's a 6-month process total in order to follow those instructions, in order to, I guess, cross over into the golden gates of heaven.
Pretty much. This goes right into Revelations 18, coming out of Babylon. so you don't take part in her plagues. Because this guy has shown me his Federal Reserve account information with his birth name on it.
Wow. So did he have to sign an NDA?
They just can't talk about it in the public. That's why you don't see him in the public.
Right.
But what he does in the private, he don't care.
Nice.
So my question is, are there steps in which can be revealed to gather evidence along the way? Or does it need to be hush hush till the very end?
I just told you one. Write your will.
Yeah, the will.
I have my will.
I know that Daniel, a friend of mine, he carries a New Testament in his pocket. And he said on the front page of the New Testament Bible, it says he wrote, "My last will and testament." He declared that is his will. You know, is that what you can do? Probably. But me personally, I think you have to declare that you have reached the age of 14 for males, 12s for females, and this is your last will and testament. And part of this system is you are declaring who you are and what you believe. Because remember, the Bible talks about in the last days there would be lawlessness everywhere. It's true. Well, the system doesn't want you to be lawless. You have the right to declare who you are and your laws. We just got to learn. We got to learn the language too, and how it applies. Because, for example, the word citizen. What is a citizen? One who owes allegiance to a respective government. Well, my Bible says I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, and my allegiance is to God. That means I can't be a state citizen, and I can't be a U.S. citizen. I'm only sojourning in this land, passing through. Now, a lot of the teachings that are out there, they have their place. The secure party creditor process, hey, it brought me to where I'm at. It's why I'm so big on the trust account for the social, because why? The social is a statutory trust. So guess what? Guess what applies? The Uniform Statutory Trust Act. That may not be the exact title. I shared a screenshot of it the other day. 24 times in that act, it mentions the registered agent. So what is your role as a registered agent? If we know who the trustees are, how can the government take care of its obligations if the registered agent isn't doing their job? And then we get mad at the government because we didn't go read and figure out what our job was. Anybody got any questions?
Hey, Pat,
Hey, I kind of
got a
came in
question.
late. I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, this is a quick one, then you can go. So, Pastor, have you heard a guy named... That's not his name. That was me making sounds. His name's Peter Joseph Polinsky. PJ?
I know PJ. Don't really care for him much, but I know him.
Aha. Because found some cool videos, military class from a couple of years ago, and it seems to be some quick summaries of stuff. So you're saying you don't care for him personally, or the information that he shares?
Don't really know a lot about his information. He, to me, is one of those that took somebody else's stuff and ran with it like it's his own. Because trust me, some of the information he teaches as his own came from me.
Okay, well, I'm only a few hours in, but he references Keating quite a bit.
Yeah, Gene Keating. I
Yeah.
like Gene Keating. Gene Keating's information is good. He even talks about Gene Keating. I got a video in my Dropbox that is hard, that you can't freaking find it anymore. It's a good thing I've downloaded it.
Always the problem with lots of information. Where did I put this now?
No, there was a channel on YouTube that had all kinds of Gene Keating videos, and then one day it just disappeared. It got took down.
Of course,
And
you got to grab them while you can get them.
Yeah, and he talked about in that how, as he put it, your chattel property. And he went through all the different codes and rules and regulations, giving all the evidence to show that. I would disagree with his presumption that you are that, but that's just me.
You meaning when people say you, when people say words, I don't really know what they mean anymore, right? Every time I hear the words United States, a little alarm goes off in my head, a highlighter, I should say. And when people say you, are they referring to me, the man? Are they referring to the straw man?
When I say you, I'm referring to you as the man.
As the what?
As the man.
And when you refer to the other aspect, what do you call it? The estate, the straw man, or just anything?
Yeah, the estate. Because what is the Social Security account? It's a trust. Refer to it what it is. It's an estate.
Right. Yeah, I just wish everybody would use consistent terms. That's the one thing I can't figure out why the whole arena is what I call it, because everybody seems to be, I don't know, in the Coliseum performing, battling, etc. So everybody in the arena seems to not even want to define and use the same terms. So right away, everything's a disaster and a mess right there.
Why do you think I don't like most of the gurus out there?
I don't know. Why?
That's exactly why.
Defining terms?
What does everybody say? When I say you, when I say it's not you, I am having a conversation with a man or a woman. So when I say you, I'm talking to you, the man or a woman. You are not the piece of paper. But most of the teachings out there teach that you're the piece of paper. You're the U.S. citizen because of some Social Security number and you receiving benefits. I haven't received no benefits. I don't receive anything. The state does. So when I'm in here and I'm talking to you, I'm talking to a man or woman. That's the reason why I tell you, you are not the trust. You are not the estate.
I agree. I mean, that's the whole trick that the police and courts and etc. That's the whole initial way to get one to contract, is it not? Just agreeing to that right off the bat. Is this you? As they point at the picture of whatever or something to that effect.
You have no firsthand knowledge that it's you. That's the answer.
No, I understand, but that's the
Yeah.
trick. That's the initial offer to contract, right?
Well, it is an offer to contract. That is true, but it's also this. They let you operate on the same presumptions they operate on.
Well, right, but their intent is to get you to agree to those presumptions, right? I mean, they're not going to help you not explain it to you, right? Now, when I ask you if this is you, what I'm actually trying to do is to get you to agree so that I can extort you for some money, right? They're not going to say that. So,
well, they're not
the
extorting you.
What?
They're not extorting you.
How is that not?
Where you and I differ. That's the one area. You seem to think that they are giving you all the information. You're just too stupid to look for it and research it yourself. I disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. They are there to make sure that you do not get the system, because once you do, they will close down the system. They will push everyone out of the courtroom so no one else figures it out.
No,
and they won't be able to feed on us anymore. But
they're not extorting you. They are letting you fall on your sword. Remember, the Bible says what? Out of the mouth comes blessings and cursings.
I guess, but when it's backed up by people with guns and flashing lights and kidnapping and intimidation and raised voices and stuff like that, that's not like some even leveled playing field.
No.
Right. When they call for, I know a lady just last month, she got pulled over for a headlight that was out. And by the time they were done, they had 7 cars there and kidnapped her, took her to didn't take her to jail or anything like that, took her to a parking ramp or some sort of underground parking facility. And the only thing that saved her was she used her voice to Google call 911. And the whole ride there was being recorded, and they had the EMTs meet her due to that. And the EMTs had to ask the cops, "What are you guys doing?" And that's when they finally let this lady go, because there was unknown consequences going to immediately happen. None of that stuff is like even playing field stuff. That's I don't see full disclosure at all in any of these events. So I get if the whole Matrix is set up for some sort of spiritual test or awakening or stuff like that. That's one thing, but to call it something, to give them more credit than they're due, with no pun intended on all of this other stuff, but to give them, I don't know, a free pass on what they're doing, I disagree. I
never said free pass.
Okay. Well, that it's okay.
I never said it was okay. I just said it's not extortion.
Oh.
See, it's just like the majority of the people out there, they got this mentality of it's all fraud, it's all fraud, it's all illegal. No, it's not. It's not fraud. One, they publish everything. You can't say that they don't give full disclosure. They publish everything.
In the fine print.
And guess what? I cared more when I got out of high school of chasing women and running around on my first wife than I did studying what my rights were.
But hey, I
And
get all
now,
that, but then
and
how
now
can
we sit and argue that, oh, they didn't give us full disclosure. Yes, they did. We just didn't read it.
well, kind of, but how can a disclosure over here or over there, right, in definitions and documents and things of that sort, that's fine. But then how can these contracts be valid when, on the other hand, uh, we're considered infants or imbeciles or something along those lines? I mean, that by legal definition makes a contract void.
No, it
It's not a
doesn't.
legal contract at that point. So
No,
how can we have the both worlds at the same time then?
no, it doesn't. An infant has limited abilities to contract.
I'm unaware of this from my business law
Anderson,
classes.
Anderson's Law Dictionary, 1889 says it. This is way back in 1889. It says that an infant or someone in infancy, that they can contract for necessaries and teaching. So now, what the Constitution has something called the necessaries and proper clause? See, we have spent too much time asking the government for everything. And then we turn around and say the government doesn't listen to us. Well, yeah, they do. Back in the day, the Social Security card used to say, don't use for identification. It was printed on the card. Well, guess what everybody did?
They used it for
Because
identification, and then they changed
so
their
the
stance on that.
so the government said what? Okay, fine. So be it. So they took that off of it. The government listened to the people.
That
But
likely
then
is one
we
example of that,
complain.
yes.
That's one example, yes. Then we complain because the government gives us what we want.
Okay, I have something to contradict that, and that is like they do in every other instance, they create the problem and then they give you a solution. So
Now, the
they,
Hegelian dialectic, yes, but that's where they use the ignorance of the masses against them.
yeah, I do agree with you
I
there.
don't disagree with that. I'm very familiar with the Hegelian dialectic. I talked about that because of 9/11. What happened? 9/11 was staged. Now, can we say that our government 100% did it?
What?
No.
It was staged? I've never heard
Hold
of
on.
that.
9/11 was staged. Can I say
I'm
our
being
government
facetious.
wholeheartedly did our government do it on its own? No. I can't say that. Can I say that it was at least orchestrated? Yes. Okay. But they use that event to do what? To get the justification to pass the
Patriot Act.
what was that
Patriot Act?
law that the Patriot Act? Yes. And that's where the Hegelian Act, the Hegelian dialectic come into play. They created the problem by staging the event, offered the solution so the people would stand down and accept it because we're fighting terrorism.
Yep, I feel free to that.
I think that's fairly common knowledge at this point. In fact, the Patriot Act was written long before that, years before that. And my understanding was that Biden was the guy who actually claimed that was his early on. Not that he literally wrote it, but something like that. A few years before all of that happened, something like it was ready to rock, didn't work, we shelved, and then pulled out for the right time, which was then all part of the plan.
Mm-hmm. Come on, guy. Figure out where you're going to go so I can park. Ugh. Now, let's see here.
I got
Well,
a question.
yeah, hold on, just so I can finish, and then this guy can ask his question. So, is that all you want to comment on, PJ? Then is just that you feel he has at least the information that he took from you would be good
Not
information. I
necessarily,
bet. Yes.
not necessarily from me, but he's just one of those that, in my opinion, takes knowledge from other experts without giving any um, pats on the back, so to speak, right?
Credit.
In other words, hey, I got this information from this source. The guy knows what he's talking about. You should go listen to him and support him. You know, that's what I do because I don't have all the answers. I never claim to have all the answers. I mean, Vivian earlier said, or it was either Vivian or Rainbow said, "Yeah, I'm lit." Where the I think it was Vivian that said she was in a group of people that were a lot smarter than her. Well, right now I'm talking to somebody that's a lot smarter than me. So I mean, there's always going to be someone smarter than you.
Right. So you're
So
saying PJ should have referenced the original sources
I
instead
don't.
of making a video on his own, that
Yeah,
type of thing.
because you're taking other people's work, claiming you're an expert like you have all the answers. And anybody that acts like they have all the answers, I don't care for them. I know about PJ because I was in the Science of Law Library on Facebook group, and most of these people that everybody follows, trust me, they were there. Tez Ben-El. I called Tez Ben-El out a long time ago because Tez Ben-El was shady.
Say how you really feel.
Yeah, Rorik. I don't know Rorik. I listened to what people said about Rorik. He never really struck me as anything important. Is he a good guy? Probably. Does he have knowledge? Probably. But he's teaching the same old crap I've been learning for years.
Well, right, but there's nothing wrong with teaching it. You're saying, but why not just reference what's already there, right? So, like comedians, why be a hack and steal their jokes? Just say, hey, just leave that comedian to their original set, correct?
Yeah, in other words, a bunch of people have said it. Why can't all these, for lack of a better term, gurus, why can't everybody come together and let's work together? I absolutely 100% agree with that statement.
Whoa.
Okay.
I
agree. T. John, I had to mute you for a minute because you were echoing so bad.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, I look at it like this. Yeah, we should work together. We should come together as
Adding the new
out there.
vegetables calmed down the other stuff.
Yeah, but see,
That
a lot
helped.
of these people are not in it for that. Look at what Rorik was doing. He was charging $1,500 for his freaking classes when most of the information he got was probably from Yusufel and Gene Keating. The two biggest players out there is where most of these gurus are getting their information from. And then they're charging astronomical prices to where the average person can't afford it. See,
not when the average
like
person is already broke.
Off. That's right. See, the Yusufel, I respect him. He charges, you want to attend his class, it's $25. Anybody can afford $25. Don't go to Starbucks for a week.
Well, or his subscription's $100 a month, and I'm thinking, There's nothing that's $100 now. You go to a grocery store, you go to a dentist, you go to anything, and you get a whole month for $100. It's not too shabby.
And
And what
his
I
stuff
understand
is
is, I
college level stuff.
right, I was listening. Well, and he says you can copy all the files or whatever. So I was listening to him, and he talks about Keating as well, right? He references
Yeah.
those guys, and he's always saying go back and read their stuff, and he has it on his site. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, I appreciate your input on that, and somebody else here had a question. I don't want to keep it derailed too long here.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah,
Prosperity,
Jim.
you always bring up
Jim,
the minutia of good questions.
Say that again.
I
Hold
said
on.
you always bring up the minutia of really good questions.
Is that good or bad?
Good. I like the way
That's
you
good.
think. I like the way
I
you
try to
think.
find the concept behind something, and then if the
Yeah.
concept holds true, then I know the rest is, kind of like I want to frame the house before I start picking out the tile and the colors of the paint, right? If the house ain't there, or even if you want to say the foundation, then the rest is just gonna, it's just not gonna work out, right? So anyway, Jimbo, you've been patient. It's all yours. Thank you, Pastor. I yield.
yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, basically, I kind of came in here kind of late. I was just wondering how long you guys been talking, and is it going to be recording anywhere that I can re-listen to it?
It's only been since Sunday, Jimbo.
Wow. Okay. Well, how many hours is that? My God.
I have no idea. I just saw the jumped on like a half hour ago. Pastor Dawn, how long were you guys already going?
I think Pastor started recording right away because I went to go start recording and I saw it had already been recording for 40 minutes. So
Yes, I'll make sure I share it when it gets done. Now,
Okay,
sorry.
would that be? Do you if I want to go listen to Pastor of the Ways, plenty of your recordings you have. Where can I go actually to listen to some of your recordings?
Go to my Rumble. You can go to my Rumble account.
Rumble, Pastor of the
Yeah.
Way. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Okay, thank you.
Now, not only there's not a lot on there. I've got like 6 videos up there. The second one is the presentation I did for Dawn on this channel. It's also on Dawn's Rumble channel in full. When I do these recordings, when I get a copy of them, I take and post it to Rumble. That way people can listen to it.
yeah, I think this recording is going to come to me in my saved folder. So I will forward it over to you.
Yeah, it'll go to my save folder too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I started the recording. And I named it the name
Is
game.
that I think a Rumble Bascalimus Nomo.
That's it.
I
That's
see you
it.
have. That's yours.
Yep, that's me.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, I see. I just listened to that 6-hour one, knowing who you are. And I actually have a question there. If some mention of going to court was on there where, the one dude, I don't remember his name, that differentiated is that he believes that the name belongs to, which it does, to the Social Security and or the United States, and you did use it. Now, if you were in a court situation, I happen to get picked up for something, like say driving with no license, and they brought me into court, and when I was going there, here I'm here by special appearance. There's been a mistake. I'm here to help resolve the matter. Is that something like I could say like that?
Yeah, you could. There's many ways you could handle that if you were picked up for driving without a license.
Well, I'm just saying, is that as
I
an
mean,
example, or
get down
whatever
to the
the example
brass
would be?
tacks of what a license is. It's a contract. Your Honor, is it true that the driver's license is a representation of a contract between the parties, being a driver and the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, whatever? And what's he going to say?
Right. Well, I would just, I mean, that was just an example I used for whatever might reason be that.
Yeah, I know
Uh,
but I'm getting at it to get you to think. Because what is he going to say? He's going to have to say in its simplest language, yes, it's a contract. Okay, Your Honor, let the record show that, yes, it represents a contract. Now, Your Honor, can this court order me to contract with anyone?
Yeah, well, I would think they would. First, they always want to press that name issue, and you got to separate yourself from that. I mean, there different times I have been in court and tried different things. It's always the name issue.
It is the name issue. That's the number one thing. But you've got the evidence right there on the back of your Social Security card. I asked a $500 hour attorney one day. I said, is that my name? He said, well, I presume it is. And I said, how can that be my name if I don't own it? And I read the sentence on the back, and he said, I understand what you say. I see the problem. It can't be
And I
my
was just
name if I don't own it.
another question. Do you think most of the judges are aware of this, or just I tried a few different things during my times in court, and one time they kept pushing, but they switched judges around on me and stuff.
Yeah,
I
they
thought
will
it was
switch judges. They
so.
do.
Was
They
that
do.
because one's
Look,
smarter than the other, or?
no, it's not because one is smarter than the other. They're trying to throw you off your game.
Right.
You seen that video of that guy on it's on YouTube, been floating around for a while, where the guy goes into court and the judge asks for the name, and he said, I'm here to handle that matter for that estate. He's got a blue shirt on, and I can't, and the judge ends up leaving the courtroom at the end of the video. And the guy says, he's abandoned ship, this matter's dismissed, something like that. But the judge looks at him twice and says something very key. He looks at him and said, you were either him or you are his agent. What have I been telling you? You're the agent for the estate. You're the registered agent. The agent holds no liability for the entity unless the registered agent isn't doing their fiduciary duty to notify the principal.
Right. And the principal would be the United States and/or the Social Security Administration.
Well, the Social Security Administration tells you who the trustees are. So if they're the trustees, they're the legal owner, they're the principal. See, I don't have a problem with the name after learning the stuff I've learned. I don't have a problem with them even owning the name. If you're going to own it, you're going to be liable. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, makes sense. No liability there.
Now, why do
I
you
guess
need a
Social Security is
15?
the person who needs to show up to the court with a subpoena then to handle their affairs. I'm just making jokes since it's
No,
not our affairs agent.
no, you bring up a good point. That's not necessarily a joke. Look, you can do improper service. When the cop gives you a service test,
You're bouncing in and out.
yeah, it's because I'm walking away from it's connected to my radio in the truck and it's not wanting to let go. Is it cleared up now?
Roger.
Okay. When the cop gives you a ticket, go to its basic principles, basic information. What is it? It's a service of process. He put it in your hand. You're not arguing. You're not arguing improper service. Parking. Up top? Okay. Because one of the rules for proper service when it comes to a registered agent, it's the question: does the Secretary of State's office have any record on file that you accepted the office? If there is no letter of acceptance for the office, service is defective. Okay, I don't know what y'all heard because it switched to my truck when I was walking by my truck.
We heard you. Improper service of the agent position, being registered, I guess, with the Secretary of State. Since we're not
Yeah,
properly registered as their agent, then that means that they really didn't serve you inside a court case, and it's defective as far as anything
yeah,
that's taking place inside that court. Because I heard recently that's how some people are getting out of these foreclosures, by saying that there was not proper services that was
yeah,
served on to them,
you're
and case
correct.
was dismissed, or these representatives for these banks, they're being told by the judge that they have to serve you as the registered agent the proper way. So I just seen this recently happen with 3 people cases where it got dismissed on that basis.
Yeah, and see, knowing who you are is the answer to everything. Knowing what role you're playing. See, this is a symbiotic relationship. The government says, hey, the nation is bankrupt. We need all your gold. We need all your gold and silver. And this happened in 33. Now hold that thought 1 second. Parking. Your app's down, so I couldn't do it through the app.
Stand by.
Now, so they needed all the gold and silver to pay off the debt. This is where HJR 192 comes in. Everything got prepaid. This is the purpose for the stock market. They needed the currency to flow. They wanted you to pay your monthly bills. But the problem is you're not filing taxes right, so you're accepting liability. The coupons were how the corporation would get paid because everything's prepaid through the Treasury. You send them the payments. That goes on the investment side to the shareholders. So they're basically double dipping, yes. But for this
You're supposed to
new
use a
deal,
void check when you send it back in, and not actually fill inside a check, so that way they know where to put the credits at, opposed to how
well,
we've been endorsing the whole thing.
actually, I don't even agree with that. Actually, is it the registered agent's job to pay the bills?
No, that's why you put the void check in, because you're looking for the credit to come back to the account that they don't know where to put it at. Because
No, well,
when
no,
the
you're still
coupons
not
come in,
you're still not thinking of it right.
all right, go ahead.
It's
Because
not
the
the registered agent's job to settle any of the accounts. It's the principal's job. That's why it's called an obligation of the United States. I'll use credit, that's fine. So, who's the principal?
United States.
Well, technically, the trustees. But yes, they are officers of the United States.
If it's the principal's job to handle, if they send a coupon to the, I guess you could call it the registered agent, which would be, say, me. And it's my duty to report it to the trustees.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. So you send it to the trustees. Now, see, me, I'm one of those that says, hey, pay your bills, pay your power bill, pay your stuff. But damn it, the government, you need to provide my necessaries, because we're not supposed to mooch off the system either. The one thing in the back of my mind that I have a problem with talking on forums like this, I don't know none of y'all. I know just a few of y'all. I've got a son that is in his 30s. I would never teach him this information. Because why? He's white trash. He would abuse it. There are some people out there, as bad as it is on them, they don't deserve this stuff. Because some people out there, they're not trying to better the country. This is our country. Our name is on the line. We're supposed to be the ones to make this country great. But look at what the media does. Look what people do out there. All they care about is themselves. And see, this is a spiritual journey. Doesn't mean you have to believe in the Bible like I do, but this is a spiritual journey. The law is a schoolmaster to show us where we're wrong. The problem is we don't never like looking at where we're wrong.
Well, I can want to say that everything they're teaching us, and this is my opinion, they've been lying to us from day one. We never went to the moon. There's no nukes. There's no satellites. Everything, all these shootings, half of them, nobody got killed. They're all actors. How is
Actually,
this part of?
they have not lied. You are actually blaming the laws, the government, and the laws they've passed. Most every law they've passed is constitutional. Okay? It's the media that does all the lying. And you are pointing the finger at the government instead of pointing the finger at CNN and Fox News. Now, is there government corruption? Individuals, yes, can and will be corrupt. But the legal system itself, the laws and everything, are almost always constitutional. See, you have to let the anger go, because you're dealing with another human being, and we forget that. We forget that that's our neighbor. We forget that's another man that bleeds red, has family, has children, maybe going through a hard time, maybe trapped in a system. And we sit here and say, oh, that judge is corrupt. No, he's not. He's trapped in a system too. My first traffic case that I beat proved that to me. In court, when I argued the constitutional arguments, he disagreed with me in court. Everybody would say, oh, that's corruption. Outside court, he laughed and said, you were 100% right on everything you said. He ended up dismissing the case without payment of cost. And he met me at my truck and we had a conversation. I learned he is stuck in a system too. The problem is you're too angry, you're too busy to see that's another man stuck in a system too.
Well, let me point out a point like, okay, yeah, 911 was a fraud. I don't know, planes even hit those buildings. The whole thing
No,
was set up.
planes did hit the buildings. They didn't hit Building 7, and a plane didn't hit the Pentagon, But yes, 2 planes did hit the towers.
Well, we can disagree. I disagree on that. But anyways,
It was military
but that,
planes. It wasn't civilian.
I think it was just computer generated images, to tell you the truth, on TV.
No, more
But
like remote control.
but
Yeah, that's
but
right. They've
hold
been
on,
remote
because I
controlled
don't even
planes
want
for
to
a
argue about
while.
that. But my point I'm getting to here is that after something like that happened, then say the president will hop in and make statements about how it's a bad act and all this. So it's part government. I mean, what, they're fooled by the media too, or they know what's going on? Government, obviously.
Do they know what's going on? Huh. Yeah, look what happened to JFK for talking about what was going on. You don't think every single president knows the truth about John F. Kennedy and has been told, sit down, shut up?
Yeah.
Ones telling them to sit down and shut up, those are the real rulers of the world. They're the ones that know
The
what's
bank,
going on.
yeah, the bankers.
Exactly. They're the bosses of the presidents. The presidents of the corporations they created.
What's going on, Pastor? Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, peace and love. I'm listening to the whole conversation and stuff. It's very interesting and stuff. I like it.
I'm glad you like it, man.
Um,
You've been knowing me for a
yeah,
while.
I see you came a long way, man. It's coming to you now. It's good. I
Yeah,
love
it
hearing
is.
it now. Yes.
I am a firm believer that God directs our path. And I'll tell you what, I've learned more in the last 8 months than I have in the last 10 years. And the path I got moved to over the name and everything coming after that, it's like some of the old time gurus, like KW. You know Ken W, don't you? He don't talk to nobody. You remember Yusuf El interviewed KW over the birth certificate and you back in 2013. People like him have now reached out and are talking to me. And I said, people that are actually having wins are respecting my information. I said, I must be on the right path.
Yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good, brother. Doing good. I'm listening to you speak to them about how they blaming the government, but they should be looking in the mirror blaming themselves.
Yeah,
Because
government
yes,
is a reflection of the people. The more evil the nation, the more
we,
evil the government will be.
that's correct. And also, when you speak about those evil bankers, you're speaking about yourself.
Yeah, you're a bank.
You inside the bank. Okay. So when we try to throw these attorneys under the bus of these evil bankers that created all these rules and regulations that people should follow, those people are us.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking broadly. Us, the people that's still in the bank that got credit cards, debit cards, and all those things. You're still a part of their system. How can you jump down their throat when you're still a part of them and you're taking the benefit from them?
Well, here's one for you. I was talking to KW, right? And KW says, look, I am the president of the United States. I am the Social Security Administration. Now, most people will not get what he is saying. They are operating in your name. Do you think the president just represents the government, or is he representing you? No taxation without representation.
He's not representing you.
Yeah,
But
when you speak of the name, yeah, that's I was about to say that. I knew somebody was about to jump on that. When you speak of the name, Pastor, the name is not you, okay? The
Yeah,
name was created from them, so they own that name. You just using that name as equitable title.
yeah,
But
that's right.
even though you're using that name inside of their system, they presumption and assumptionally believe that you're the surety for it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes back to Matthew 5:25 and 26. Okay, it says, agree with thine adversaries quickly. I don't know why everybody want to text me now. Agree with thine adversaries quickly before going to court. You're the surety in that matter, and you're also the debtor in that matter. You don't have no fight in that matter, so you can't fight in that contractual obligation now. But you can bring something to discharge it, and that will be equity. So, and that's what Matthew 5:25-26 is about. But everybody putting their own interpretation of it and confusing the masses with it.
Yeah,
But the scripture says, don't take none from it, don't add none to it. And I heard you talk about those gurus and their processes. That's what they're doing.
yeah.
They because when and the name
Thank you,
game,
ma'am.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The name game, right? Because that's what it's all about. People go in the courtroom. I'm not the name. They don't have jurisdiction. All that stuff.
Hey,
That's a lie. That's a whole
did
lie.
you
Okay.
did you hear about that recent traffic ticket I got?
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
I was up in upstate New York, and I went through a DOT inspection because I'm a truck driver. My reverse light was out, and it gives me a ticket. Kind of surprised me, but I didn't argue because you don't hold court on the side of a road. I just said thank you, have a good day. So that was February 21st. The court date was March 28th. Well, March 16th, I called the clerk. When I had tracked down their DUNS number and their EIN, I should have got the cage code, but I didn't. I didn't think about it. Now, let's see. Let me make sure it don't switch to the truck. Now, so it doesn't switch. So I call the clerk and I said, I have a debt instrument here, and I need to verify your EIN for tax reporting purposes. I gave her the EIN. She says, well, I can't verify that. You might need to talk to Barbara down at the town hall. I said, okay, I'll get her number in a minute. And then I said, well, ma'am, the next question I have is I need to know the penal sum for this instrument. Well, I don't know what that is or how to get it. This is the court clerk, so I know she's lying. So I give her the instrument number. She said, are you giving me a ticket number? I said, ma'am, if you believe that's what it is, that's on you. And I said, but the way I see it is this is an instrument of value or a debt instrument, which means it's an obligation of the United States under Title 18 U.S.C. 8. She says, are you the name? She asked me if I was that name, and I said, ma'am, that name is owned by the United States, and they're the secured party in this matter, and I'm just merely the beneficiary. And she says, can you hold on a moment? And she comes back about 45 seconds later, and she says, well, that matter's been sealed and dismissed. I said, oh, well, can you send that signed order to the address you have on file? She says, well, I can't just send that to anyone. You're going to have to verify who you are. I said, okay, you have a letter out in the mail next week. I sent a demand letter rehashing the phone call with all the facts of the recorded phone call. And at the end of it, I said, and the court has 10 days to produce the order. They received that letter on the 24th. They must have went, oh shit, because they received it on the 24th after they got the mail, printed it out, that day and put it right back in the mail. This was a Thursday, and it was at my house, 28th, the day of court, and I never went. And it was at my house on the 28th on a Monday. Over the weekend, from way upstate New York to way down south in North Carolina, and it got there in Friday, Saturday. It got there in 2.5 days. I said they had to have paid express mail, but they sealed it and dismissed it.
And all of that from you making that phone call to the clerk?
That's right.
That's
All I
pretty
did was
powerful.
talk to the court clerk. Once you know who you are as a player in the game and you know how the system is operating, what did Hamilton Bay just say? Make peace with your adversary quickly. They were my adversary. I just told them the facts. Was I trying to prohibit them from making money? No. Because why? They monetize those cases on the municipal bond market to create currency because they're bankrupt. I didn't interfere with their process. I just wasn't going to play the part of the dummy anymore.
Could you repeat that title you said that was?
Title of what? Oh,
I think you said
18,
Title 18, Section 8.
it's Title 18 USC 8.
Oh, USC 8. Awesome.
Thank you.
Obligations and other securities of the United States. And if you go get the congressional record of March 9th, 1933, that is the contract we've all agreed to. That's the New Deal.
Repeat that again. I'm trying to write.
The congressional record of March 9th, 1933. And that's what Eon's been talking about a lot on his Redress Right channel, is exactly what Hamilton said. You are the bank. Because that's the congressional record of March 9th, 1933. They talk about the obligations of the United States. They talk about the new money. You go get the Proclamation 2039. Proclamation 2039 says you're a financial institution.
I got a question. Why do you think they would dismiss or seal that case instead of, trying to make funds off of it like they normally do? Do they feel they're breaking the law since now you're reporting as your duty?
Well, guess what? Let me give you the example of a mortgage. You go get a mortgage and you fill out a power of attorney that gives the bank the power to create accounts in the name, okay? Then you sign a promissory note. The promissory note was the payment for the house, because the mortgage don't have anything to do with the house. They put your investment, which is the promissory note. There's no difference between that promissory note and the promissory note you carry in your pocket called cash. They're both promissory notes by law. So at the mortgage table, you're an undisclosed third-party investor, okay? So you invested in that security. They took your investment. Did they report it to the IRS? No, they didn't have to. That's where the REMIC comes in. They immediately transferred it over to the REMIC. And the REMIC is supposed to report it to the IRS, but the REMIC doesn't. So since it doesn't get reported to the IRS, they got you thinking you're responsible for the taxes. So you pay the tax. And since you're not reporting it to the IRS, you're accepting the liability. It's no different with the courts. They're creating securities. And the whoever volunteers to be liable is who's going to pay the tax. Going to prison is a tax. Are you going to accept the liability? They don't report it. Well, neither do you. So guess what? You're accepting liability.
The word remic you use, that would be me if I was in that situation. Is that what you mean?
The REMIC is the real estate investment vehicle. Okay, I don't remember what REMIC actually stands for off the top of my head. I'd have to look. But the REMIC is the investment vehicle at the mortgage for the mortgage. Okay, the court registry investment system would be probably, now Hamilton, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't that be the equivalent of the REMIC?
It had parts of it.
Yeah.
It had parts of it. Yes. It's all banking. All this is banking.
It's all banking. And what does most every one of these gurus out there, they don't tell you to study what? They don't tell you to study trust law. They don't tell you to study the laws of agency. And they don't tell you to study banking. And part of all of that is the tax code too. And the government publishes everything, but you got to pick it up and read.
A question. You mentioned the KW, I think was the name of, with
Yeah.
his very useful information. Or is any of his speeches or talks or anything, are they available on the internet? Can you find them? Or
Only the 2 YouTube videos I've shared. Actually, 3 YouTube videos. That's all I can find. I mean, he is very private. He does not do any online classes. When there are phone conversations, they don't go up on YouTube, because why? Do you think the government's going to like it being put out in the public, some of the information and some of the things he's done? Absolutely not. I've seen what the government will do when someone mixes public and private, because my father experienced that. Come on, Luna. Let's take you out.
could you elaborate a little more what happened with your father, or no?
Oh, yeah. He got a 30-day sentence for tax evasion on paper and a $10,000 fine. But did he evade taxes? No. He went on a national radio show and was interviewed over taxes and told the truth. That's what he did. That's why there are some things, honestly, you don't you don't talk about out in the open, basically. There are some things the public ain't ready for. And I mean, I have got a lot of respect. Yusuf El made a statement a long time ago. He said, "Those that figure out the rules to the game will love it. Those that don't will hate it." And I'll be 100% honest with you. I respect the government. I respect its rights. I respect its power, because there are certain rights the government does have, because you can't have an anarchical system. Even in anarchy, there's government. People say, well, we want anarchy. You know, the Constitution was a quasi-anarchical system. It was a system of self-rule, but it was a system where everyone had rights, and everyone was left alone to live their life as they saw fit, as long as they didn't injure or harm another. I mean, that's as close to anarchy as you can get. And the government put out all the rules, all the regulations, all the principles for us to live it, but we keep asking the government for benefits and privileges. We keep going to their attorneys to do everything. The bar members. Well, I don't know law. You know law, it's written on your heart. The Bible says that the law is written on your heart. You know the law better than you realize. You just got to realize it. See, they took away all of our children's stories and all those, what's the word? Analogies and anagrams and everything, you know, like one, for example, turning over a new leaf. Where'd that saying come from? A lot of these things we used to teach our children when they were little. We had the old fables and everything. They always had principles in them. We have forgotten all those principles. And look at our nation. We are a nation of heathens. The bulk of the people out there in this community, in every one of the groups I've been in, they only care about one thing. What can I get for free? What can I discharge? What can I, you know, get away with? That's all they care about. And to me, that's heathenistic behavior. I mean, do I think you should get a house for free? Yeah, I do. Because of the bankruptcy, the government is supposed to provide for your necessaries. A home is a necessary. Your phone is not. A car is a necessary. Your computer is not. See what I'm getting at?
Yes. Needs and wants.
Yeah. If me personally, if I got access to that account, I'd want me a small, decent sized house. Well, honey, technically a car isn't a necessary. I disagree, and here's why. We're no longer traveling with horses and buggies. She says that's why they have bicycles. Well, yeah, but it's hard to go to the grocery store with a bicycle. Especially when you live 10 miles away or more from a grocery store. But no, yes, it is a symbiotic relationship. What did JFK say? Ask not what your government can do for you. Ask what you can do for your government. Was he wrong? No. Isn't this supposed to be our nation?
Indeed it is.
And we've turned our back on it, and now we're mad. But I'm going to preach if I keep this up, so I need to stop.
Let me ask one more thing. Let me ask another thing. I don't remember which fellow it was, but he relinquished his registered.
Brian Parker, he did his resignation of registered agent.
Okay, then you do that. Who like you do that with which agency? How did he do that? And
I would
why
have
would
to
number?
get the list of places he sent it. He sent it to like 4 or 5 different places.
Okay, and then that he had things happen that he
Actually
didn't know
did
of till
not
later.
that he didn't know till later, and that was his all those bills of attainders,
Right.
which is what traffic violations are. They're bills of attainders. Okay.
Mhm.
They all disappeared.
What type of decision was
But
that?
He did a
but as go ahead.
resignation of registered agent.
Okay.
Because why? You're the registered agent of the birth estate. You're the registered agent because you're still an infant or in infancy because you've never proven that you've reached age of majority.
So when you mentioned that, like the register agent shouldn't necessarily be the surety or liability for things, is that correct?
That's in the
Or
law.
okay, and then but they use you as surety because you claim the name, basically.
Mm-hmm. They
So it's
use you as
registered.
surety because you were up. It's not that they're putting you as trustee. It's actually trustee descent tort. Okay.
You'd be acting as a trustee when you shouldn't be.
No.
No.
Trustee descent tort doesn't say anything about you acting as a trustee. It's you are acting you're acting under authority that you don't have. That's the short version. So let's see.
And I guess we're not rebutting the presumption.
Let's see. No,
Yeah.
trustee descent tort. Equity is actually expressed in the form of constructive trust. Every time you go to court, it's a constructive trust. Now let's see. Trustee descent tort. Someone who, without legal authority, administers a living person's property to the detriment of the property owner. It doesn't say anything about you being a trustee. You are stepping on the toes of the trustee. In other words, you are making decisions for the trust when you don't have the authority to make decisions. You kind of understand now?
Hey, ask that question
Yeah, I'm
again.
getting there.
Jimbo, can you ask that question again? What's your question?
Well, I was wondering actually, like when he unregistered or was unregistered from being the agent, is that a good thing or a bad thing, or is that similar to becoming,
That's
say, a national through another way, disassociating yourself with the name?
that's really honestly, it's up to you to decide.
Yeah, because if you're saying that you're unregistering something, that means that you're not going to go back in contract with the things that you unregistered to. So the contract makes the law. Everything else is on the moon. Okay.
But a registered agent isn't something that you unregister. It's an office. You resign.
Yeah. Right. So the office, if you look up the definition of private and public in the Black's Law Dictionary, it says that someone is private is no longer in any type of offices or have any um, oaths or any type of marks or subscriptions on their public accounting of their public trust. Okay, this how you can tell
Okay,
someone
that
who's
makes sense. Yes.
this how you can tell if someone's private or someone is still public. And the ones that's still public is known as what I call 1 USC ones. Okay. Um, if you go to, that's the first code of the United States Code. You can't go past that code if you don't understand that the first code. All right. That's the beginning, like Genesis. So when you read 1 USC 1, it says that anyone who's volunteering participating in their system is deemed as an idiot and an insane person in black and white. And Congress wrote this in every act that they created known to man, okay, from the beginning. All right. Now wrap your mind around that. So all these people that's doing all these subscriptions, doing all these forms in their system is deemed to be idiot and insane people, including themselves. Congress is idiots too. Because they took oaths too, okay? Because when you sign any type of documents like an IRS form, it says you have to sign under penalties and perjury. That's a pledge. That's taking an oath, right? So
Yeah.
just think about what I'm saying. You taking
One
an oath. One USC one. Yes.
one
That go male for female.
USC one.
Yeah, one USC one. That's the first code. You can't go to Title 50. You can't go to Title 12, 15. None of these codes that you hear people speak about and spewing about all day, every day on these calls. One USC one wrap all that up.
Yeah.
But
In determining the meaning of any act of Congress, unless the context
any
indicates
act,
otherwise,
not just one act, any act out here. Okay, go keep on going.
words importing the plural include the singular. Words importing the masculine gender include the feminine as well.
Wow, so they don't even know what you are. They don't even know what you are. They don't know if you're a male or a female. You know, we in Babylon, so everything is fake. We see a woman, we say, man, that's a beautiful woman, and we lift up her dress, it's a whole man. You know what I'm saying?
Nowadays, you have to be careful with that.
Okay, we here. It's time to leave. All right, keep on going.
Not
Words used in the present tense include the future as well as the present.
So from back then, those acts to now, You still insane and you're still delusional. It's gonna get into
The,
that part. Keep on going, Pastor.
the words insane and insane person shall include every idiot, insane person, and person non compos mentis. The words person and whoever include corporations, companies, associations, firms, partnerships,
Oh,
societies, and joint stock companies, as well as individuals.
wow. Now check this out, guys. Now, I'm not making this up. How many of you heard of a private member association? That's what they are. They deemed insane and idiots. Wow. And that's the first code. Keep on going, Pastor. It get gooder.
Hold on a
Keep
second.
on going.
I gotta send something to my wife right quick because I ain't going to any random text that says, hey, a Zelle payment of whatever is being processed. If this was not you, go to blah, blah, blah to secure your account and cancel this transaction. No, thank you. I don't think we use Zelle, but I think my wife is still on here. Let me see. Nope, she's not. So it says, now the word individuals is a very interesting word.
Yes, it is.
Individual, in determining the meaning of any act of Congress or of any ruling, regulation, or interpretation of the various administrative bureaus and agencies of the United States, the words person, human being, child, and
Wow.
individual shall include every infant member of the species Homo sapiens who is born alive. It shall include every infant.
Okay.
It doesn't
Now,
say man or woman. It says infant.
we
That's
gonna go
1
more. We're gonna get more
USC
detail.
8.
Yes, we're gonna get more into that. We're gonna go more into that. Did we finish USC one? Because it was getting good.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this. Watch this. Keep on
Officer
going.
includes any
Officer.
person authorized by law to perform the duties of the office. Signature or subscription includes a mark when the person making the same intended it as such.
Wow.
Oath includes affirmation, and sworn includes affirmed. Writing
Wow.
includes printing and typewriting and reproductions of visual symbols by photographing, multigraphing, mimeographing, manifolding, or otherwise.
Wow. I'm blown away over it, Pastor.
See, this is the thing. That's why I say they publish everything. They tell you how to interpret everything. But we're too busy looking for templates, looking for the next big teacher to give me the quick fix than doing what I tell everybody to do. Go read the source information.
Like you said, this is not for everybody.
It's
You
not.
know, it's not for everybody. This is a spiritual journey. And when people wake up to truth like that, that's the first code of the United States Code, Pastor, right?
Yep.
So if I'm going to start learning the law, I'm going to start from the beginning. Let me start with the first code. Let's see what that says. Oh, okay. So anything past this code is for insane people and idiots, including the ones that's in office, that's still trying to build an office for themselves. They're still saying that they private, but they really public. Hey, I get what Pastor's saying. You're looking for a guru. You're looking for a template. Hey, that's the way it is. People looking for fast food. You know, if you eat too much fast food, Pastor, you're gonna get sick.
That's right.
And look at all these people that's looking for these fast processes for they to get out these processes that they got themselves in fast and trying to use fast food to get out of it. No, I'd rather have a home cooked meal, and that take time, and that start from scratch, right?
Yep.
Okay. And this is the crazy part here, Pastor. This really gonna blow you away. In those fast food restaurants, who cooking your food? Do you know them? Do you
You
know what
don't
they?
know.
Do you know what they call
You really don't know. Nowadays, more and more, it's going to freaking computers.
them? Okay.
And
So
hey,
you got
it's
two.
not even the
Yeah.
problem of who's cooking it. The
Yeah.
problem is who makes it before it gets to the restaurant, because you don't know what they're putting in it.
Yeah. They, just like these processes, right?
Hmm.
Okay. From the same patriots that people big up in this world. Okay. And that's gonna keep on happening because people looking for that fast food. They looking for that sandwich. They looking for that lunchbox.
That's
They
why
looking
the
for
Bible says, broad is the path that leads to destruction, and there are many that find it. Narrow is the path to salvation, and there's few that find it.
few, very few, not a lot, just few. Okay. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that code. Um, please study that code more, Pastor. 'Cause I know you're a great researcher. And
You know how much I
um,
love my Westlaw account.
oh man, wait till you put it in Westlaw. Oh man, it's really gonna change some stuff up. Okay. And you know, I, I was one of those people, Pastor. I was insane, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I,
We
I was
all
going
were.
through insanity, man. Going through insanity, man. I didn't know which way to go. I was everywhere. I was doing this process, that process, following this insane person, following that insane person, following this idiot, following that idiot. And I couldn't blame them. I started looking in the mirror and say, I'm the idiot. I'm the insane person that's doing it. They ain't forcing me to do it. And once I found out that I was the idiot and the insane person, I had to change stuff up.
Yep.
So I stopped listening to so many people with their processes of what they do. I started looking at the actions behind it. Because I can give you a process, I can give you a gun and let you go and shoot up some stuff, let you shoot yourself. But what I'm doing to you is I'm harming my brothers and sisters doing that. Because I'm giving you a loaded gun that you don't know nothing about. You never shot a gun in your life, but I just gave you one so you can start shooting it. Now I just harm my brother and sister just by giving you that process without even taking you by the hand and showing you how to do it properly, how I did it properly, and show you through their books of where it's wrote at. Because everything is wrote for. They say you want to hide something from somebody, you put it in a book, right? But these people scared to read. They scared. How can you be scared to read? If read is fundamental, why are you scared to read?
Oh, you want
What
me
is
to
your
give
purpose?
you something? You want me to give you something interesting here, Hamilton?
Go ahead. Listen. Mhm.
This is why I love my Westlaw account. So the link at the bottom says Public Law 112-231, right?
Okay.
That's,
Mhm.
the credits is where it gets its authority, the laws that were passed, right? So
Okay.
now, let's see. Let's do this. I'm going to drop it in the group. Okay, it's in there. This was Public Law 112-231. And the first thing This is section short title. 1 USC 1 note. This act may be cited as the 21st Century Language Act of 2012. Section 2, modernization of the language referring to persons who are mentally ill.
Wow.
Words A. Words denoting number, gender, and so forth. Section 1 of Title 1, United States Code is amended.
Yes.
1 USC 1 by striking and lunatic, and 1 USC 1 by striking lunatic. And then it goes to B, banking law provisions. 1, trust powers. The first section of the act entitled an act to place authority over the trust powers of national banks in the comptroller of the currency, approved September 28, 1962. 12 USC 92A is amended in section A. It says A in subsection A by striking Committee of Estates of Lunatics, and B in subsection J by striking Committee of Estates of Lunatics. I'm like, wow. 12 USC 215, I in subsection E by striking Receiver and Committee of Estates of Lunatics and inserting and receiver. This whole Public Law 112-213 is only 2 pages, and it's all removing that phrase Committee of Estates of Lunatics and inserting and receiver. So they just changed the committee name to the receiver, but it's all based on the fact that the infants are of unsound mind or insane.
Yeah, we here, Pastor.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
brother.
to find.
Everybody that's in that system, that's playing their game in that system, is deemed insane and lunatics. We just read it. Bold letters. And that's public law. Public law, not private law. Public law. On the record. And it's amended. You better believe that. So when when people try to argue with me in this community, I just pull that code up. That code shut everything down. It's no arguing with that. Because if I argue with you, guess what I'm considered to be? An insane idiot. That wouldn't look good, right?
Yeah, don't argue with them. They'll beat you with experience.
Yeah, the fool.
Let's see, prior version. Let me see this.
So to answer your question, brother.
The words insane and insane person and lunatic shall include every idiot, lunatic, insane person. So they took out that phrase and lunatic and shall include every idiot, lunatic. So they took out the word lunatic there.
Yes.
So
now
why they took that out?
Now don't get it confused, guys. They not just talking about us as regular people. They talking about those people in office too. You wonder why they treating people the way they treat them. Because they insane. How can an idiot deal with another idiot? It's gonna be always bloodbath and fighting, right? Just think about that, guys. That's why we have to leave Babylon. We have to come out of her. We can't keep playing inside that whore and think we're gonna win. You didn't create the rules to that game. They create the rules to that game. So they can change it up at any given time with all their codes and statutes. Okay? There's no winning in that. The way you win is leaving. That's the only way you're gonna win. It's not to play the game. Okay?
Well, you kind of have to play the game because
Not really.
you got to have a person to operate in commerce.
Not yeah, in
So
commerce.
you have to create your own person.
Yeah, but it's ways around that part as well
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Just you start a business, you can do all kinds of things. So here's one for you. When's the last time you read the Fourth Amendment?
I love the Fourth Amendment. And
Well,
that gives out that go ahead. Go ahead.
It says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, plural. How many persons can you have?
Well, we just read 1 USC 1, right? Remember, that's dealing with personalities, right?
No. In their
Yeah.
persons, see, you got to remember, in the Bible it says God had his person. The person is your vehicle to operate in commerce while you stay in the private. Okay? So the person is that entity. Okay? Now go back to 1 USC 1. Okay? The words person and whoever includes corporations, companies, associations, firms, partnerships, societies.
Those are different personalities.
And joint stock companies as well as individuals. You can create your own society.
You could, but once you get it inside their system, you're deemed insane and an idiot, lunatic. It says it right there.
Yeah, a corporation is insane.
Any corporation.
Why? A corporation has no mind.
It's not even just that. Anytime you subscribe to something that's fictitious, you are deemed insane and a lunatic, insane person. You read the code right there. You take any subscriptions, you fill out any forms of theirs, you are deemed insane. Lunatics and insane persons in law, okay? In their law.
Okay. Well, isn't a person an entity who the law ascribes rights and duties to?
The person is the fiction.
Correct.
Well, it's any entity who the law ascribes rights and duties to.
Yeah, but the person is the fiction.
Right.
Because this is where I go back to what I said earlier. I respect the government's rights. The government has the right to regulate commerce. What you need is a vehicle to be able to operate in commerce.
Correct.
To where you, the man or woman, stay in the private and it is your vehicle. That's why look at all the wealthy. What do? They create they have private unincorporated businesses that own and operate a public business. Okay.
Yeah.
And that way they are the beneficiaries of those estates. That's why they're never held. That's why they don't never get.
You don't pay taxes either.
Correct.
And People versus Our Company says a man considered according to the rank he holds. A person is a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the rights to which the place he holds entitles him, and the duties which it imposes. So, and funny you say that last sentence, because that's what I just read in the book, is how people with money create these trusts, and they can do business in the public but not be taxed, not have a tax liability, because all the assets go into the trust and then get distributed to the beneficiaries. Did I say
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah. Well, there's not always a distribution.
Right.
Because think about it. In the tax code, if there is a if the grantor decides that the profits of the trust is to remain as the corpus of the trust to reinvest in the business, there's no taxes. So what does the wealthy do? They take the profits, Amazon, for example, they take the profits of Amazon and they go acquire more property. Amazon buys the jets, buys the homes, buys the yachts, buys the land, buys whatever, and the beneficiaries get to play with it all. And there's no tax.
So they talked about a pass-through accounting principle. So basically they say a pass-through accounting means the proceeds, meaning the profits, earnings, etc., pass through it to a secondary recipient, the beneficiary, without producing a tax liability for the trust. Its purpose is to acquire, hold, and increase assets for its beneficiaries, the grantor or the trustor, blah, blah, blah. And since the trust is a business, it has its own income flow. The IRS does not classify a trust as a business.
It doesn't matter what they classify it as, because go research the term Massachusetts Trust. Where did it get its name from? Because that's where the Rockefellers and all those people started their trust, was in Massachusetts, and it was an unincorporated business trust.
Okay. Can I say something, Pastor?
Yeah, go ahead, Hamilton.
All right. So the confusion is that should we create a trust or should we not create a trust? Okay. That's depend on the man and woman. That's what, if you choose to. But when we leave in Babylon, right? When you hear people say, like me and many others out here, when we say we're leaving Babylon, it means that we're through subscribing with their subscriptions and putting marks of their subscriptions, getting marks and subscriptions from them. We've done filling out forms. We done with numbers, okay? We done with using that name, okay? It means that we leave in that system to stay private. And there's going to be a lot of inconvenience to it. The people can't stand the inconvenience. So, like, when I speak about this stuff, they say, oh, man, be quiet. I don't want to hear that stuff, man. I got to get my benefits. I got to get my, pensions and all this stuff, different benefits and stuff. They say that. But as soon as Pharaoh hammered down on them, the system hammered down on them, they say, yo, I need some help. Somebody can help me come out of this stuff. Man, I'm tired of this. They sucking me dry. They sucking the blood out of me. They sucking my sweat equity out of me. I want to leave now. I've been trying to tell you to leave, but you still want to stay. See, the problem is that people trying to stay married to a Babylonian whore instead of leaving her. How can you turn a whore into a housewife? Is it possible? Excuse my language, ladies, if y'all on here. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about the system, okay? The system is full of pimps and hoes, okay? It's a capitalistic system, okay? You're either gonna be the pimp in it or you're gonna be the hoe in it. Okay, you pick your side, choose wisely. Okay, or you can say, forget the pimp, forget the hoe, I'm leaving. Y'all can have that shit. Keep playing in that game. Okay, and that's what I choose to do. I don't play in that game no more. You don't have to create trust to stay private. Okay, now if you're gonna deal with in the commercial, if you're gonna stay in that commercial realm and do all that stuff and try to get things that you want and stuff, okay, cool. Pharaoh don't have no problem with you creating trust. What Pharaoh have a problem with is you hiding things inside that trust. Okay, and that's been proven over and over again. Okay, people say, oh, my stuff is protected now, I just control everything, nobody control nothing but me. Well, you created that trust with Pharaoh with that number that he controlled, that he created with the name. You probably created the name, but you used the name and you registered with his system. So he's in control of all of that. And he could take it away from you at any given moment because those are entitlements, those privileges and benefits. Take the benefit, don't pay the penalty. I promise you. And that saying ain't went wrong yet. Everybody that came to me that's taking all those benefits is paying the penalty right now. The IRS cracking down on them. All these people, all these entities coming down on them.
You don't have to have a trust. He's right. If you're going to be strictly in the private.
Yeah, you're going to be strictly private.
If you were going to go get you a little piece of land, grow your own food, have you a little farm, and take care of all your necessities, oh yeah, you can do that. And you can stay completely private. But the minute you got to have a bank, if you have to have a bank account and you have to do certain things in commerce, you need a vehicle to handle that. Because all banks are federal territory.
So my question is, for private banks, you need to have a certain amount of money to be able to get a private bank. How does one that doesn't have that much money get a private bank account?
Well, I'm of the opinion there ain't but 12 banks. And that's the Federal Reserves. Everything else is just a service provider.
Right.
Wasn't it 13?
Oh, well, it might be 13. I'd have to go look them up. I just was thinking 12.
It's kind of like the entertainment. It's controlled by 5 companies.
Every bank around the corner from your house is nothing but a service provider. They're not actually banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to private banking, in my opinion, I believe private banking is an oxymoron time, like sovereign citizen. Okay. The reason why, if you look up the word bank is public. If the bank is public and anybody can go into it, how can it be private? Okay. Another thing. Right. And a bank is an institution, and we just read about corporations, right? How can we put private corporation together? Does that make sense to y'all? I'm just asking a question.
No, that's a good point, man.
You putting a fiction to something that's real. And you always hearing this saying, brother, you can't mix the public with the private. Well, people doing it every day, and they don't even know they doing it. Lord help my people.
True.
Now, let's see here.
I'm not trying to rain on nobody's parade. I just want people to think with me, okay? not your enemy. All right. Remember, I said I was insane at one time. Okay. So it took
Mm-hmm.
me a long time to come out that insanity. It's gonna take y'all a long time as well too. But once you know better, I promise you're gonna do better. I promise to God you are, if you believe in a creator. You know, some people call it creator, some people call it God, some people call it all type of names and stuff. Whatever you believe in, that's your higher power. Hey, all power to you. Okay, so private banker is an oxymoron term. Private member association is an oxymoron term. Okay, according to 1 USC 1. So anybody that's got a private member association is still insane and deemed a lunatic. Okay, an insane person. Okay, first, association is a part of the corporation. Okay, you look up association, you look up partner. Once you look up partner, member, association in their books, right? Their legal books, it'll tell you that all those people are insane. And you can't put private with member or association. Those are public terms. Okay. Now, another thing I would say, check out. Private member associations will be something like attorneys, okay? Those are private member clubs, okay? The bar association, Masons, a different secret society. Those are private member associations. They properly can be call themselves that because they take oaths to each other, okay? Remember, we read in 1 USC 1, anyone that takes an oath is considered an insane person and a lunatic. Okay? That ain't what I say. That's what they code say. Pastor, didn't you read that, brother?
Where?
In 1 USC 1.
Yeah, I read it to you.
Anybody that take an oath, right? Okay. Anybody that pledge, okay? You got to be careful, guys. It's a slippery slope out here, you know. And the way how I talk about these things, I look deeper into it, okay? I, I get it. You know, everybody got their way on how they teach this stuff, but I teach it so real where you can go and check it out for yourself. Oh, don't take nothing that I say on face value. None of this is legal advice. None of that stuff. This is all educational purposes, and you can go and do your research on everything that I said through law books. And I guarantee you, if you get back on this call with Pastor and the rest of the people, you're going to be saying the same thing, okay? And another thing, too, we have to start questioning things, okay? We have to start questioning these things we hear from people. This is why we in so much confusion, because the people that's teaching us this stuff, we take it on face value and never question them. Never.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand anything I'm saying out my mouth, ask me the question. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna go and research myself and find you more of the answers that you need to get you closer to the truth. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I heard one brother on here saying that we've been believing in a lot of lies. Well, we still are. But whose fault is that? Is it their fault or is it our fault? It's our fault. Because the
Well,
truth out here is hidden in plain sight. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Pastor. Go ahead, brother.
well, you got to think about it. What does it say? Go back to the Bible. So in the last days, there'd be a spirit of delusion because people would rather believe a lie than the truth. The hardest thing to get people to realize is what is truth. I mean, nowadays, people don't even believe there's such a thing as truth.
People are led to believe that truth is subjective, not objective.
It's not.
That's where New Age came in. to distort truth, question truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get people to question truth, then they won't believe it.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents, brother pastor. Um, if anybody have any questions, I will try to answer to the best of my knowledge. Um, you know, might have heard something that you probably want to question it right now.
Yeah, anybody got questions, feel free to speak up. The only dumb question is one not asked.
No question right now. I just want to thank you guys for all your input.
Well, you're welcome.
I hope I made somebody think today.
For sure.
Well, I'm glad I'm feeling better about being able to kind of start doing it again. I've been freaking under the weather for a while.
Yeah, we're being fumigated. You ever notice they're going through a lot of strains to block the sun, spray us up with this crap.
I swear, I
Well,
feel like a cockroach out here. I feel like they're spraying us with the Raid. There's lines all over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah, and they bumped it up like crazy. Before I would see 2 or 3, now there's like 20 or 30 lines.
yeah, they're going to continue doing it too, because the Bible says that Satan is the god of this world. He's trying to destroy everything the Creator made, and he wants to rebuild it in his image. That's why we have fake food, fake water, fake medicine, fake everything, fake names.
So this is great. This has been great so far. How long or how often will you be having an open mic on this channel?
Me personally, I know I can do it live on Dawn's channel. I can do it on Fearless Floyd's channel. I can do it on my channel. Whenever I get in the mood.
Can you put Fearless Floyd's Telegram link in? So people can connect to that,
Yeah.
or is it private?
No, I can add it. I shared it in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I try to share information because we're all in this together. And ultimately, you got to, each person is they have their own path. You have to decide what your path is. Your path might be different than everybody else's in this group, but your path will dictate what you need to learn. I mean, look, we talked about Brian Parker earlier. He did the registration of registered agents. Okay. Now, I got a friend in Indiana, David Roach. David Roach has never done a secured party process, doesn't care about it, never done a trust. He has no driver's license, no plate, and his vehicle is not registered. Has he fought for that? Oh, absolutely. He's been to court 72 times. He's won 70 of them. Okay, so it's one of those things of you have to decide what your rights are worth and the path you want to take. And I mean, you got Wesley Keith Mullins. All his documents are on his website. And I've mentioned that to people before, WKMtrust.com. He's done his secured party stuff. He shares the documents. He's got a private identity class that he teaches. You got Yusuf Ale. I mean, Yusuf Ale has college level classes for $100 a month. It's self-paced. Right now, he's rebuilding the website and updating it, so you might not be able to do anything at the moment. But his website is going to be great. And it's like he's going to tell you the same thing. If you come to do his classes, you're going to read. You are going to look up court cases. You are going to look up definitions of words and everything. And at the end of his classes, if you pass with an 80% or higher, you get a certificate. Now, yeah, it's not necessarily accredited, but it can hang on your wall that you actually did the work. I mean, each person has to decide which path do I want to take. All I can do is point you in directions. That's all I can do. And just like Hamilton said, if I don't have the answer, I got a pretty big bunch of gurus that I support. They'll help me find it.
Yeah, I've told people before that your first step in this process is figuring out what your end game is. Once you figure that out, then start kind of figuring out what paths you need to take to get to that. But one man's end game isn't going to be the same as another man's end game. So you're both going to have a different process on how you go about getting what you want. But you need to know what you want. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you want. And you need to be tough enough to go after it and not quit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've got a question, sort of a little bit off topic. Do you
Go
by
ahead.
any chance know how to do a identity theft package to the IRS for company that's taken your promissory note and sold it to multiple banks?
That is an interesting thought process. I would have never thought to go through the IRS to do an identity theft, because if you look on the social, it says to go to the Federal Trade Commission.
Federal Trade.
Do you have the back of the social where you probably
I'm
don't?
still
The average
still
person
waiting
does.
on that dadgum card. I did it online. They sent me to the office. I went to the office, and then they sent me home saying it'll come to me in 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
so annoying.
On the back of the card, you're going to have a perforated line for you to take your social security card off of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Leave it on.
Don't, you just leave it together. On the back of that, it actually does tell you that you are to go to the Federal Trade Commission.
Okay. I'll research that then.
Hey, where that process come from? The identity theft, IRS. I never heard of that one.
Do what?
Do what?
It came from the W4 PMA group. Also, Lone Wolf has suggested to do that as well. I do have a sort of template, but those forms that they said to file are really complicated. So I'm going to need help from somebody.
Well, me, I've never done any of that. I would have not thought to go to the IRS, so I can't really speak to what they're talking about. Let me see. I'm trying to find the back of the card. Let's see.
What are you trying to do with that form anyway? What you trying to do?
With the identity theft forms?
Yes.
That's a good question. I'm trying to get Navient basically audited and figure out what other banks, if any, did they sell my promissory note to. They only gave me information on my signature loan for student loan. But when I asked them for the promissory notes for the federal loan, which I had just recently, quote, paid off with another loan company, I haven't heard bubkiss from them. It's been completely silent. So basically I said, okay, I'm going to stop paying then if you're not giving me any of the information. And originally I'd stopped paying, and then but then I kept hearing on the W4 channel, no, stay in good honor, keep paying. And so then I paid all that money that I had stopped paying. And then I realized, oh crap, I'm not doing a W4, I'm doing an identity theft. So what's that going to look like when I go, oh, I think they stole my social and used it all over the place, but yet I just made a payment to them. So I stopped paying again.
Here's what it says on the part of the tear off part. It says improper use of this card or number by anyone is punishable by fine, imprisonment, or both. If you believe someone is using your social security number fraudulently, notify the Federal Trade Commission at 1-877-438-4338 or online at www.consumer.gov/ID theft. So why would you go to the IRS?
I don't know because they said so.
That's right, because somebody said so. I don't care what they say. That's on the back of the Social Security card.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start there and then figure out what it is I need to fill out with them. And even if, because I'm not even sure it would fit under an identity theft. I mean, because what I knew of is I signed a promissory note to Sally Mae. And then all of a sudden, when I asked for the promissory note back, I'm getting Sally Mae Bank, I'm getting Chase Bank, I'm getting another bank. And I'm like, wait a second, which now looking back makes sense because there were 3 different accounts that I had to pay back.
I'm back.
Oh, didn't know you went anywhere.
Yeah, it dropped me for some reason. Now, like what I was saying is, I don't care what they say.
Right.
I care what does the government document.
I think you dropped again. Man, he's leaving me hanging. I feel like I'm watching a video on YouTube where it gets to the really good part and then a commercial comes on.
What's your question?
Well, he was finishing his answer. There you are.
No, I said I could care less what any guru says.
Right.
I want the government to tell me what to do. The government publishes the rules. And for anybody that doesn't believe it, look at what that says.
Yeah, and I wasn't about to fill those forms out until I understood fully what I was requesting from them, which is the help that I needed, because even with the W-4 sandwich, I don't want to file that until I know exactly why I'm filing it and for what reason I'm filing it for.
Yeah, but that right there, when it comes to the Social Security number, it doesn't say anything on there about going to the IRS.
Right.
It says top left in that box. It says you are to go to the notify the Federal Trade Commission.
That up. I mean, from this point on, nobody can access, not even, I can't even access my Social Security because of that PIN number, the security PIN number that I
still
put
need
on.
to do that.
Dude, it takes like 2 seconds. All right, 5 minutes, because they do identify you via like a Zoom type video chat thing. But it was super simple.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I just got to fill it out. I spent over a week fighting a cold. And then the last 3 days, me and my wife spent time together in South Carolina. So I'm in no hurry to do all these things. I have to take a break sometime.
Yeah, I went to go request my credit report on annualcreditreport.com or something like that. They're like, nope, denied, can't do it. Call our customer service. So I called them and I'm like, yeah, I think it's not allowing me to do that because of this code, this PIN, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, okay, we'll mail it to you. It'll get there anywhere between 7 and 10 business days. I'm like, okay, fine. So then I went on LexisNexis. Same thing happened. I'm like, oh, well, good to know that it works.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, Navient, try pulling more money out of my trust account. See where that gets you.
Do they ask you for the PIN number?
No. Could you imagine? I'm sure it's do. Oh man, I just screwed it up. Now I got to get another PIN number.
Now,
I was,
I want
yeah,
you,
how does that even work?
if that doesn't prove to you that it's a freaking bank account, nothing does.
Yeah.
Because think about it. I mean, think about it. You have a credit card, or I mean, you have a check card, right? Don't they tell you when you get a check card to create a PIN?
Yep.
Everything is right in front of everybody.
Yeah, you just got to be a bit of a Sherlock and put two and two together.
So, anybody else have any questions before we go?
Not for me. You definitely gave me a couple of steps to do. In the meantime, more evidence for my evidence locker.
Well,
So
like I said, well, I'm glad I could help.
Thank you, sir. Every time we talk, it's a pleasure, and I get more out of it every time.
Well, you are welcome. So, well, I guess I'm going to end this, or at least end this recording. I don't know if Dawn wants to continue on or not.
No, I got work to do. So.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Do what, Justin?
I just joking, saying that's a wrap. We're closing it up.
Yeah, close up shop. So, y'all have a wonderful night.
Yes, you too. Be safe
Talk
on
to
the
you later.
road. Bye-bye.